Good afternoon on what is a cool, very bright and sunny day. It is Tuesday the 17th of October. I've got a nice hot cup of tea and a parcel to continue unboxing. So what I pulled out of here is actually this, which is content from, or issues of Tales of the Smoking Wyrm, a fanzine. So let's see what else. Yeah, let's grab this. And these are all fanzines for the role-playing game Dungeon Crawl Classics. And Dungeon Crawl Classics is a retro clone, heavily inspired by the Appendix N of the Dungeon Master's Guide for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 1st edition. And it's quite a popular retro clone, fairly popular retro clone, and it has inspired a lot of writers to create their own stuff, and they're encouraged to do so. And as in the case of the Tales from the Smoking Wyrm fanzine, which is not and I'm being interrupted here by the cat, who is not ours. He wants my lap. So Tales of the Smoking Wyrm is a fanzine not just for Dungeon Crawl Classics, the retro clone inspired by Appendix N, but also Mutant Crawl Classics, which is the role-playing game inspired by Gamma World and similar post-apocalyptic role-playing games. So this is issue 2. We open up with a tutorial and contents page. And the first section is King of the Beasts. It's a really nice piece of artwork. You just see the section of text there. As I'm joined by my King of the Beasts, which is cat that is not ours here. And this is King of the Beasts as a patron, because one of the things you have in Dungeon Crawl Classics is that you have a patron, typically that you worship as your god. In this case, King of the Beasts, and he will grant you particular spells. He got greater effects if you sort of like burn points of. But also, your patron as a sort of like, as part of being a wizard. If you spell burn points of your stats to empower your spells, so you can speak with animals, blood sense, and I suppose this would be quite useful if you're playing sort of like a druid-like character, but not necessarily, what you would call a druid in Dungeons and Dragons style ordinary play, because Dungeon Crawl Classics only has a limited number of classes. So these are the spells that will be granted, and so on. Then we move on to, we've got a spirit list. Basically, this could be like a spirit animal, I suppose. And then after that, we have different type of class, Dwarven Jaeger. So that's going to be like a Dwarven Hunter, I suspect. So you've got a complete class but essentially it's like a variation upon the dwarf class from Dungeon Crawl Classics. And so not dissimilar to the warrior. It does have mighty deeds of arms, which essentially is a special kind of die you can roll as part of your normal actions, and if you roll well enough, you can do particular effects. We've got a nice section on different weapons, so you can actually have a throwing hammer and a hand crossbow, very perfect for your dwarf character. And you've got the Dwarven Jaeger in action here, nicely illustrated. And then rites on rituals is basically is talking about different spellcasting and the nature of what it involves, whether that's for your cleric or your wizard. Here it's going to be your cleric, because we've got church rituals. And this including sort of like dealing with the to some extent with the undead. So Blessings of the Grave as a spell. So that's ritual, and how that might manifest a liturgy of blessing. So these are longer spell effects, and they take longer to cast. Because the interesting thing about spell casting in Dungeon Crawl Classics is every spell is not only just different, but its effects can be different depending upon how well you roll. Then we have Rite of Consecration, so more and more different rituals to bring into your game. And then what happens if you get a misfire? Because if as much as there's also the chance of things going wrong and going going right and actually going very right if you roll high enough, but also they can go very wrong. Table of Miracles. And then you've got examples of like previous pious deeds, the numerous glory of faith. So you can really, bring in the church as your organisation as part of your faith, and role play that and have actual game effects as well. And then we have Culpeper's Herbal, which is talking about basically making herbal restoratives and so on, discussing herbs and how they can be used in the game and not just in dinner. So we're talking about we've got agrimony bastard. I have no idea because don't know anything about herbs, but they're an element which you can bring into the game and it adds verisimilitude. And then we have Shoggoth. Previous edition veers towards the Cthulhu mythos, and it definitely here does with the Shoggoth as a monster. So we've got quite a lengthy write-up of the creature, probably actually longer than you might find in the Call of Cthulhu rulebook. So yeah, that is quite a 3 pages. Including, you've got tables for creating them, size, its age, martial abilities, almost as if you could have it as a player character, sort of like somebody, hiding themselves as a Shoggoth. That would make another terrific NPCs, and we've also got. Let's have a look. So Shoggoth, martial abilities, and things like smash attack, frightful presence, improvisation, magic resistance, snatch attack, subdivide, mimicry, because you've got multiple voices on a Shoggoth and multiple mouths and there's multiple voices on a Shoggoth, as you can see there. Shoggoth esoteric abilities such as divisive nature, aquatic detection, and of course corrupt. And then, in keeping with the mythos theme of the issue, we have Find Familiar Cthulhu. Now that's one hell of a familiar. If you can wake him up, of course, which of course with the spell you can. But this is sort of like different types of familiar you could have if you had the mythos playing a much more insidious presence in your game. And you have even things like critical hits for your Shoggoth, like stunning blow, piercing blow, shocking slam, oozing lesions, decapitating tonication, abrasive flensing. So really quite inventive here. And then we got the Onward Retainer starring the Legion 2. Almost like it's almost traditional in a fanzine to have a cartoon, and it's almost traditional in Dungeons and Dragons style fanzine to have a cartoon, ongoing cartoon strip about a retainer, a hurling in your Dungeons and Dragons game, and the things they have to they're put upon them by the play, effectively the adventurers, the player characters. And then we have a little piece of memorabilia, basically a bit of a memory from the authors, and a bit of advert at the end there, and then menu, table of contents on the back. So that is the Tales from the Smoking Wyrm, issue 2. Nice little fanzine, very nicely produced, very nicely put together. Has a really quite professional feel to it, which is what you expect of a fanzine these days, because people do like nice products. For your Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game, to be honest, much more the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game than Mutant Crawl Classics, although I suppose you could use the Shoggoth in your Mutant Crawl Classics game. So yeah, that is Tales from the Smoking Wyrm, issue number 2. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that unboxing in the Nook. If you have, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted of further unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me with a package containing a book or game, which in this case a fanzine, which I'll unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice little cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.